Bloody hell. People think this show is about cars. It isn't. Cars are just the excuse. The real story is people. The friendships, the memories, the roads, and the moments that stay with us long after the engines have gone quiet. Because in the end, it's never really about the machines. It's about the lifestyle built around it. The Shelby Cobra is proof that at some point in the 1960s, grown men completely lost adult supervision. Because someone looked at a tiny British sports car and thought, you know what this thing needs? A gigantic American V8 and absolutely no safety equipment. You know, the Shelby Cobra occupied a very special place in automotive history, primarily because it appeared to have been engineered by a group of wildly overconfident lunatics operating on cigarettes, bourbon, and violent optimism. Because in the 1960s, apparently, someone looked at a tiny British roadster and thought, you know what this needs? Roughly the same horsepower output as a medium-sized hydroelectric facility. Cobra doesn't drive so much as it attempts to escape. You don't pilot one, you enter into a temporary mechanical hostage negotiation. And every man from that era absolutely loved it, because the 1960s car guy operated with a level of confidence modern civilization simply can't comprehend. These were men who smoked while refueling, adjusted carburetors with neckties on, and believed radial tires were some sort of European conspiracy. Cobra owner in 1965 could survive 3 tours of Vietnam, wrestle a transmission out in a gravel driveway, and still, somehow, die from a lawn dart at a family barbecue. And yet, despite of all its obscurities, the Cobra remained glorious, because it represented a time when cars weren't filtered through committees, warning labels, or focus groups. Some places ask you to slow down. Villa Argento Carriage House asks you to arrive. To disappear for a little while into great roads, long evenings, and the company of people who still understand the romance of driving. Here, mornings begin with the sound of engines warming beneath the trees. Then it's out towards the national parks, climbing through the glorious, endless series of corners on the way up to Yosemite or Sequoia National Parks, where the roads seem to unfold forever beneath the tires. Afternoons disappear somewhere beyond the next canyon, and evenings end beneath the carriage house lights with stories, laughter, and one final glass poured among friends. So schedule the drive, stay a while, bring the car that speaks to your soul. Villa Argento Carriage House, a sanctuary for the love of driving. Find your people here. I was attempting to remain focused today, which became increasingly difficult because directly behind my 1969 Boss 302 sat a red 427 Cobra with the keys in it and full permission for me to drive it. And honestly, that creates a very specific sort of psychological warfare. The boss sat there like the responsible voice in my life. You know, the angel on the shoulder. Daryl, we have responsibilities today. Ground the cables. Reroute the battery cable. Proper electrical stewardship. Meanwhile, the Cobra was behaving more like the devil on the opposite shoulder. Yes, but have you considered side pipes, irrational optimism, and slightly terrifying yourself through the canyons for an hour? And the dangerous thing about cobras is they don't even need to say very much. They communicate telepathically through fuel vapors and poor decision making. The Boss 302 was trying to help me build something. The Cobra was trying to convince me that there may not actually be a tomorrow. And honestly, the Cobra was making a compelling argument. Let's submit to irresponsibility and go for a drive. And honestly, every time you drive one, it feels less like transportation and more like getting away with something profoundly irresponsible. There's something magical about a day like this. Not because the cars are rare, although many of them are. Not because they're perfect, because honestly, some of them are held together with mechanical folklore. But because for a few hours, people slow down. The sun comes out, the streets of Old Town Clovis wake up, and suddenly the world feels less rushed. A bright red 1970 Chevelle glowing in the morning light. A newly purchased Shelby KR 500 still wearing its Mecum plate sits proudly nearby, like a man who hasn't even unpacked his suitcase yet. A dark green 1961 Porsche Cabriolet rests quietly nearby, elegant enough to make you reconsider every financial decision you've made since 1987. And everywhere you look, people are smiling. Friends reconnect. New friendships begin beside open hoods and folding chairs. Dogs wander through the crowd like unofficial event security. And then you notice something. It isn't always the perfect car drawing the crowd. Sometimes it's the one with the worn leather and the sun-faded chipped paint. Tiny battle scars earned honestly over decades of living. The car that still carries fingerprints from another era. Because Patina does something perfection rarely can. It reminds us these machines actually lived a life. And somehow parked side by side, the colors, the chrome, the shapes, and the sounds, all of these wildly different eras of automobiles begin doing something remarkable. They bring people together. You see it everywhere. A man sets up a giant basket of Hot Wheel cars for kids. Each child picks one they connect with the most, and suddenly he's kneeling beside them, explaining to them why that little car mattered. And just like that, another generation quietly joins the story. Nearby, an older cowboy leans against a classic car, teaching a younger one about engines, body lines, and the language of the road. Not a phone in sight, no rushing, just time being well spent together. This is the part that people miss about car culture. It was never really about horsepower, it's about the people. Old storefronts line the streets of Clovis, and an older barbershop hums away on Main Street while a man gets a haircut beneath the windows that have watched generations come and go. Then there's Hershey, standing proudly beside his 1960 Corvette in his favorite Hawaiian shirt, enjoying every second of it like a man who fully understands the assignment. Then somewhere in the distance, an ice cream truck sounds, and suddenly, every adult within earshot becomes 12 years old again. People laugh, kids run, the whole town buzzes with life. And maybe that's why days like this matter so much. Because for one beautiful afternoon, we remember something easy to forget. The cars may bring us there, but it's the people who make it unforgettable.
These youngins like Hot Wheels?
In a world moving faster every year, there's something deeply comforting about a sunny day, an old street, a great machine, and a crowd of people simply happy to be together. Maybe your road is the tail of the dragon in Tennessee, or an early Friday run through Angela's Crest before the city wakes up. Maybe it's Mulholland at sunset, or Woodward Avenue on a summer night, or 168 glorious turns on the Sonora Pass along Highway 108 East, back home through Yosemite, or rolling horse country roads outside of Lexington, or a slow vineyard drive through Napa with old friends and the sounds of carburetors echoing through the hills. Maybe it's a cars and coffee at dawn, or maybe a canyon run with Villa Argento. Maybe it's simple back roads that nobody else remembers anymore. But whatever it is, go find it. Take that special car out of the garage, call the people you miss, drive further than you planned, and stay longer than you should. Because life was never meant to be watched entirely through glowing little screens. There are still great roads out there, still great people, and still stories waiting to be made. So go live one. And until next week, may the road rise up to meet you and the stories follow you home.